This is the first episode of a series called The Pyramid of Power, which I found recently, and it's basically looking at whether there is any truth to the notion that there is a pyramid of power which is trying to control the world order. For those who are familiar with Alex Jones, of course, he's completely committed to the notion that the globalists, as he describes, are there to eliminate 90% of the population by numerous methods, controlling the food supply, imposing mandates for drugs such as the COVID drugs to disable large sections of the population, to control your money through digital currencies, and of course through the notion of war, which is guaranteed to reduce populations. So anyway, I'm going to dip into the first episode of this, which is called Big Education, and I'll be making some verbal comment as I watch it. So this first episode is focusing really on what is the purpose of education. There are two lines of thought. On the one hand, there's I'm now going to read some script that I saw on this first episode. It was written by Frederick E. Gates, who was an advisor to the Rockefeller family, the Richards family in America, about this issue. And I quote, "In our dream, we have limited resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our moulding hand. The present education conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsible rural folk. We shall not try to make those people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or of science. We are not to raise up from among them authors, orators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, or musicians, nor will we cherish even the humbler ambitions to raise up from among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, salesmen, statesmen, of whom we now have ample supply." I could go on, but I think you'll get the drift of that their motives were basically to keep us all under their thumb. The film moves on to the issue in respect of the United States, of how the FBI and CIA subtly introduce themselves into the lives of senior students by tracking down those with the most talent, and then subtly use them to provide them with information that would be of some value for particularly the CIA in knowing about foreign bodies. So any students that perhaps are at university who are from China or from Iran, they would be subtly approached by professors or teachers who know of them and have an idea of their intelligence, their intellect, their brightness, and they would then join the sort of pipeline of gaining information about countries that are, let's be honest, are not exactly viewed as friends of the United States. It's all starts at that sort of level.
senior high school and universities being basically places to provide that tentacle that the CIA and FBI need to get information about enemies, for want of a better word, or professed enemies. And the vast majority, of course, of teachers are parodying what the state instructs them to tell the students about. It's a form of sort of brainwashing, and this evolves, and we've seen the result of this, that in recent years, not just recent years, but it's been very pronounced in the last few years, about how the American population and the British population are bombarded with this notion of the Soviet Union, aka Russia, being the evil empire, when they justify the foreign policies, and they don't have any rebellion from the population. There's just a handful of people that see through this smoke scheme. Most of them are tokenistically saying, oh yeah, well, Russia is a bad guy. But the question asked, why are they a bad guy, 95% of them couldn't answer, other than, oh well, my government tells us that's the case. So, you know, even though the US and the UK and other Western powers suggest to all and sundry that we're different to Russia and China, in effect we're exactly the same in the fact that we're indoctrinating our populace through the school system to believe exactly what they want us to believe.
The key to all this, of course, is compulsory education. But there are signs through the internet that a number of people are starting to question whether children should be involved in such mechanisms, and the chance to get an alternative look at how one's child can be educated. Freedom schools, and freedom to consider alternatives. You know, even if we just consider the media, for example, the difference of content that young people will be given by various social media sites can be radically different in terms of information. And so this is, of course, creating problems for this centralized control, because they are trying desperately to control the social media, but they can't control them all because of the role of independent media. Well, independent schooling is another option available, but of course this can only happen if you have financial resources. But very interestingly, this first part in this series, which is really tackling the heart of the matter, education. If you educate people in a certain way, you're able to control them. You're able to remove the parent to some extent, or to a large extent, from the learning process. Some recommendations at the end of this first episode that I think are worth passing on to you. Some books, books that should be read. The Prussian elementary schools, The second one, Dumbing Us Down by John Taylor Gatto. Then Underground History, American Education, also by John Taylor Gatto. The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by Charlotte Thompson Isabite.
The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America by Charlotte